It is a historic day as the College of Cardinals has selected a new pope in Cardinal Robert Prevost, who is now Pope Leo, the first American to ever become pope. And this American has thoughts on the American government, specifically Donald Trump and J.D. Vance's illegal and immoral immigration plan, in which he called out in a very public and brutal takedown that we are going to get into. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, before we get into what Pope Leo had to say of the immigration practices of this administration, I want to hear the first and important, hopeful statement that he made after becoming Pope. Let's take a look right here.
A humble and perseverant peace which comes from God, God who loves us all unconditionally. Let us keep in our ears the weak voice of Pope Francis that blesses Rome. The Pope who blessed Rome gave his blessing to the world, to the entire world, that morning of Easter. Allow me to follow up on that blessing. God loves us. God loves everyone. Evil will not prevail. We are all in the hands of God. Therefore, without fear, united, hand in hand with God and amongst ourselves, let us go forward. We are the disciples of Christ. Christ goes before us. The world needs his light. Humanity needs him like the bridge to God and his love.
Preaching love. Love for all people around the world, no matter what, and especially for those who have been marginalized, those who have been persecuted and chased out of their homes. That is what we need to aspire to, that sort of unconditional love. And it is that love that runs counter to how Donald Trump views the world and views those who are escaping persecution. And it is that which we saw Pope Leo call out Donald Trump for, and specifically this moment right here.
President, or hold you in contempt, will you take steps to return Kilmar Abrego Garcia to the United States and put him in front of a judge?
Well, I'm not involved in it. I'm going to respond by saying you'll have to speak to the lawyers, the DOJ. I've heard many things about him, and we'll have to find out what the truth is. But I will say this, you know, we were inundated by millions of people, many millions of people during the Biden administration. They say 21 million. And a big percentage of those are criminals, serious criminals. I'm not saying just criminal because they came into the border illegally. I'm saying they're criminals at the highest level, murderers. Many of those people murdered more than one person, and they're on the loose. And I was elected to get rid of those criminals, to get them out of our country, or to put them away, but to get them out of our country. And I don't see how judges can take that authority away from a president. We've done it.
Donald Trump's disregard and disrespect towards the safety, the well-being, the fears held by those fleeing their homes runs exactly counter to the message shared by Pope Leo. And that is why, when his Twitter account was discovered, the post he made very recently in 2025, while still a cardinal, just go to show exactly how anyone who holds the ideas of love for all people would view Donald Trump and his administration, especially J.D. Vance, who has been critical of the church. And these are the tweets that we saw from Cardinal Prevost. Cardinal Prevost reshared a post with an article titled, "Do you not see the suffering? Is your conscience not disturbed? How can you stay quiet about Donald Trump's meeting with President Bukele of El Salvador in the Oval Office?" He also tweeted about J.D. Vance's criticism of the church, saying J.D. Vance is wrong. Jesus doesn't ask us to rank our love for others. He also reshared a letter written by Pope Francis to J.D. Vance and the Trump administration calling for an end to an immigration policy based on hate and fear-mongering. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, and really all of MAGA, claim to hold these Christian values. But when your values are based in hate, in anger, in attacking those who are different from you, purposely trying to other and to marginalize people whom you do not like, that is not a politics of love. That is not a politics of any sort of Christian value. And our Pope would tell you that himself, as he did to J.D. Vance as well. We saw when J.D. Vance went to the Vatican a couple of weeks ago that cardinals spoke directly to him about his criticisms of the church. When J.D. Vance went on this strange rant saying the Bible calls you to first love your home and then people after, to reserve love on a tiered list, that is not the case. That is not how we love. That is not how we treat people fleeing persecution. We should open our arms. That is what this country is about, embracing those who are sick and tired and weary and looking for a better land. That is what love is about. That is what Christian values are about. That is what the American dream is about. And clearly, J.D. Vance doesn't understand that. Neither does Donald Trump, obviously, and our new pope definitely does. The focus of MAGA has never been on anything real. It has always been on distraction. They are not committed to any of the values they proclaim, the virtues they say they hold. They are focused on distraction and chaos. And that is also exactly what Hakeem Jeffries called out of the MAGA agenda before Congress right now in this clip right here.
When the American people woke up this morning, they could reasonably ask the question, what are their elected representatives on the floor of the House of Representatives going to be debating? In an environment where the Trump tariffs are costing them thousands of dollars more per year, Republicans are crashing the economy in real time, costs are being raised on hardworking American taxpayers, and Republicans are driving us toward a painful recession. What might members of Congress under this temporary Republican majority be debating on the floor today? Would it be legislation about the economy, something about health care, anything about Social Security, perhaps something on public safety, maybe national security matters, anything to bring to life the American dream for hardworking American taxpayers? No. What Republicans have decided to spend this entire legislative day doing is to debate a bill to rename the Gulf of Mexico. Now, in some ways, I guess the American people can be thankful, because this week, what Republicans were going to try and do was visit upon the American people the largest Medicaid cut in American history. And because Republicans are on the run, they were forced to take that hearing down. That battle's not over. So in the absence of their ability to actually jam up hardworking American taxpayers, instead of focusing on things that would make a difference in the lives of the American people, we are here on the House floor, more than 400 years after the fact, debating legislation to rename the Gulf of Mexico. And it turns out there's a lot more foolishness than this particular bill. Apparently, it's not enough simply to try to rename the Gulf of Mexico. Republicans have introduced an act of Congress to express support for the designation of the first ever Gulf of America Day. That ingenious piece of legislation was introduced by Representative Mark Alford of Missouri. At a time when Americans are struggling to live paycheck to paycheck, when we are grappling with the high cost of living, don't worry, Republicans have a solution. Congressman Brandon Gill of Texas has your back with a bill to require the $100 note to include a portrait of Donald J. Trump. No, thank you. Not to be outdone, Representative Joe Wilson of South Carolina has the Donald J. Trump $250 Bill Act. Really? Hard pass. Flight travel has become more dangerous. We have an air traffic control crisis ongoing this week at a major airport in the Northeast. Central to a lot of the commerce and the functioning of the economy, an economy that Republicans are breaking in real time. What would be the Republican response to the situation in our skies? Representative Addison McDowell of the great state of North Carolina has a bill to designate Washington Dulles International Airport in Virginia as the Donald J. Trump International Airport. Did Virginia even vote for Donald Trump? Families are confronting thousands of dollars more per year in higher costs thanks to Donald Trump's reckless tariffs. And instead of pushing back the president and Congress asserting our constitutional authority as it relates to tariffs and trade in the best interest of the American people, no, Republicans have a different approach. Here's this gem from Representative Anna Paulina Luna of the great state of Florida. She's got legislation to arrange for the carving of the figure of President Donald J. Trump on Mount Rushmore. Are we living in the times of King Nebuchadnezzar? What are we doing, folks? There are serious issues that the American people want us to confront. From the very beginning of this Congress, Democrats have said, we will work with anyone to lower the high cost of living, to secure the border, to fix our broken immigration system, to protect communities, to stand up for the health care, the safety, the well-being, the national security of the American people. Republicans have no agenda other than the toxic agenda connected to their big, ugly bill that they are trying to jam down the throats of the American people. And so when they have to run away from that and push it back, this is what we're left with.
The MAGA movement is not focused in any way on benefiting your life. It is all about creating a show so they can distract us while they seek to serve a very small collection of the wealthiest and most powerful people on the planet. But that is not what this government is about. That is not what the American dream is about. It is about building a better country for everyone, for loving everyone. That is exactly the message we saw today. That is not the message of the Trump administration. That's why we got to call it out. We're doing so on this show every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.